Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Chrissie Mayer podcast. We are on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, and SoundCloud. And if you're listening on iTunes right now, please leave a 5-star review. My album is still for sale, live from January 6th. Please get it on iTunes or Amazon right now. Because guess what? It's been number one for over a week at this point. I think, 9 days, 9 or 10 days. 10 days on Amazon at number one, new releases in comedy and overall bestsellers. This is crazy. All thanks to you guys. So thank you so much to those of you who have bought it, who have listened to it, who have laughed at least once. Appreciate you guys so much. I'm going to be in Atlantic City with comedians of the Compound April 22nd and 23rd. These are going to be Anthony Cumia's birthday shows. So come on out to the Claridge. We'll be performing at the Celebrity Theater inside the Claridge Hotel out there in Atlantic City. Then I'll be headlining in Jersey again at Tiff's in Morris Plains on May 14th. Come to that. I believe we're working on a show in Grand Rapids, Michigan for July, for June. So yeah, I also would love to get back to possibly Nashville. But yeah, whatever cities you guys want me to come to, tweet at me, Instagram at me, any venues that don't require vax papers. I definitely want to come.
I think we're also working on getting you back to Long Island.
Yeah.
As well as Hartford, Connecticut. And working on finalizing another date for you in September for Savannah.
Ooh.
So we'll do another Southern run in the early fall.
Ooh, can't wait. Yeah. And thanks to all of you guys who came out to the show at Good Nights in North Carolina. Those of you I saw at Savannah at the Wormhole. That was a great venue, super fun. And those of you who I saw at Side Splitters in Tampa in that cool movie theater type venue. It was basically like a movie theater. I was on stage. It felt really neat, kind of like I was doing a TED Talk. But yeah, appreciate all the Friday Night Tights fans who came out. I feel like there was a good squad of us at each show. So it really, I want to plan like a designated drink hang after these shows. So yeah, we got some shows coming up. We got the album out. It's still out. Buy it if you haven't yet. It's genuinely funny. And if you're sitting there thinking, I don't normally go for female comics, guess what? This is the one to go for. And a quick word from our sponsor. Guys, we've seen so many people making ridiculous money from crypto. Ooh, yeah, cue that music. But did you know it's easy for you to do the same? The Copy My Crypto membership site shows you the exact cryptos that YouTuber James McMahon personally holds and allows you to copy him. It's like having a big brother who knows what he's doing. You don't need to know a thing about crypto or anything about investing. You just do what he does. Let me tell you a little bit more about James. Yeah, he runs the Crypto with James YouTube channel, which despite heavy censorship, we know how YouTube is, has over 15,000 subscribers and 1 million views. Since March of 2020, he's told his viewers to buy 26 crypto coins. Had you put $100 into each one, you'd have like over 66K at this point. Of the 26 coins, his top pick of the year, a coin called Phantom. Ooh, how mysterious. It's currently up around 440 times from when he started. That one call alone has retired a number of people, including guys and girls in their 20s and 30s. And this is all public knowledge. You can check this out for yourself on YouTube. If you'd like to join the 1,300 members who copy James, stop what you're doing and head over to copymycrypto.com/mayor. That's spelled MAYR. You'll not only find proof of everything I've said, but my listeners get full access for just $1. You won't find this offer anywhere else, but act fast because this is a New Year offer and it will expire soon. That's copymycrypto.com/MAYR. Don't take this offer lightly. He's the real deal. Check it out. Yeah. 2022, making money from crypto. I'm white, can't you tell? Okay. That's enough of that. I'm so excited to have this guest on today. If you've been watching this show, you've probably seen her a couple of times. And if this is your first time, well, buckle up because this woman's about to rock your world. She is I don't know if I'd call her an activist, but she's definitely a champion for anyone who has been in any kind of like abuse situation. I mean, there's many ways I can introduce her, but they all I don't want them to bum you out. She's an activist. She fucking kicks ass. Eliza Bleu, welcome back to the show.
Chrissie, that was hilarious. You
Oh
were
my
like,
God, I screwed up your intro. I don't know if
no,
I can
you're
recover.
good. No, you're good. Actually, so my apologies that I was late, but I was doing like a locals live stream and we were all getting me ready for this podcast.
It looks like you were out fighting crime in this outfit. Tell me about this outfit. You have a hat. You look like a detective. You look like Carmen Sandiego. Like if Carmen Sandiego, this is 2022.
That was
Carmen
exactly
Sandiego.
Yes, thank you. So my locals community was helping me get ready, and I told them this was my Carmen Sandiego look. So thank you for. Oh, is this live right now?
We are.
I thought it was going to be pre-recorded. I should boost it, girl.
Oh no, I should boost it too. Where in the world is Eliza Bleu?
Craig, I was talking about our live stream with on locals, Craig. I was hyping up our cast. I was like, yeah, I wouldn't have this equipment. Chrissie, if you want to tweet out the link and then
oh yeah,
it was live, I would have hyped it.
All right, we can hype it while we're doing it.
They would have been even more hype if they would have been able to see it live. Isn't this a hot little Carmen Sandiego energy?
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I wish I had a detective like hat.
Well, you can if you shop at Walmart.
I was just in a Walmart literally
you didn't pick
yesterday. No, I didn't make it that far. I went in literally I did the very rare female thing of going in just for 1 or 2 items and then immediately leaving. It felt so wrong. Everything in my body was like, what are you doing?
You got to shop with the list.
Mm-hmm.
You got to shop with the list. Let me hype. Girl,
hype it. I just tweeted it out.
Well, not that my Twitter algorithm's so bleak. It's not that I can't hype anything right now.
It's okay. We've hyped it. Whoever's here is who's here. And you know what? If you miss it, you miss it.
Live. Okay.
Yeah, I went into a Walmart just to get a bathing suit because it was an emergency situation. I was in Florida and I hadn't packed a bathing suit and I was meeting up with a friend. And I just did that thing where I took it off the rack and stretched it across my boobs. And I was like, well, if it fits here, it's probably good everywhere else. And then I actually got it on and it was smaller. Like, no, it was the suit was bigger than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, yeah. Walmart sizes can be a bit.
And this was, I was like, ooh, a medium is big on me. Moving on up.
Well, you do look pretty fly. Can we talk about your shine? Let me get this. I feel like my angle, but it's the cord situation. It's that's why the angle is ugly.
I'm loving this.
No, you introduced me flawlessly. I consider myself an activist. I do.
I feel like the term activist has gotten such a bad rap.
It does, but it does have a bad rap, but there aren't too many. I mean, so I'm a survivor advocate for those affected by human trafficking. Advocate's different than an activist. And I'm also a survivor of human trafficking, and I also am an activist. That's how I perceive myself, because there aren't too many. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, I don't know. Let's put it this way: when you have this much passion, let's look up the term activist and let's see
let's do it.
What I perceive you know what I mean? Because maybe I'm not, but
activist, a proponent or practitioner of activism. I don't like that. Doesn't say anything. I hate these definitions that
doesn't say
that are just. It's just the thing. 2, one who is aggressively active on behalf of a cause.
Girl, come on.
One who is politically active in the role of a citizen, especially one who campaigns for change. Again, these are vague. What does Wikipedia have to say? Activism consists of efforts to promote, impede, direct, or intervene in social, political, economic, or environmental reform within the desire to make changes in society toward a perceived greater good. Forms of activism range from mandate building in the community, petitioning elected officials, running or contributing to a political campaign, preferential patronage. This is so boring. Patronage of businesses, administrative forms of activism, rallies, street marches, strikes, sit-ins, hunger strikes, Hunger strikes, don't they call that intermittent fasting now?
I need to get one of those. Is Crigler still in the chat? I love it.
Griggs! I look dark.
I would send Crigler a link to join in later, but if he's still here, follow me back and I can hook him up when you go live.
He's in the chat. I'm sure he's about ready to pop on his show, but he could come in for a second.
You could pop on this show.
Yeah, why not?
You could pop on. You know, I know that, you know, maybe I'm no biologist, so I don't know if Crigler is a woman or not. Who's to say, you know?
Yeah, that's happening.
I'm going to pull this article up from the New York Post. I don't know if any of you guys have been following along. I guess this was Biden's pick, that he was really just hell bent on confirming a black woman to the Supreme Court. And I guess he didn't care who. He's just like, it's got to be a black woman. So his Judge Jackson declines to define woman, says that she's not a biologist. Conservatives were shocked and outraged Wednesday after Judge Kentaji, I'm ruining this pronunciation. Kentaji Brown Jackson, the first black woman nominated to the Supreme Court, refused to define the word woman on the grounds that, as she put it, I'm not a biologist. Jackson made the comment during a Tuesday exchange with Senator Marsha Blackburn, a Republican from Tennessee, in which the lawmaker asked the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals judge point blank, can you provide a definition for the word woman? After a short back and forth, Jackson ultimately said, no, I can't. You can't? Blackburn asked. Not in this context. I'm not a biologist, Jackson said.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Craig says he's down to come in. So Frank, are you guys following each other or on Twitter?
You better. This is how Frank gets cool people to follow him. He just says,
as he just got to follow me on Twitter so I can send it to him.
Okay.
Frank is
Frank P614.
At Frank. I thought this is okay. Follow, he'll send link.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm ruining your stream.
It's ruined. It's ruined.
Everything. Let's ask Siraj Hashmi if he wants to join. We'll make it a party.
Everybody in the pool at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jackson said, not in this context, I can't define it. I'm not a biologist, she said. Clips of the exchange spread like wildfire online, with critics noting Jackson's reluctance to state the biological fact of sex. Post columnist Piers Morgan called Jackson's response ridiculous. And here she is, Supreme Court nominee Judge Kentaji Brown Jackson repeatedly told Senator Marsha Blackburn that she was unfamiliar with the case, could not offer an opinion. I'm not a brain surgeon, but I know what a brain is. This is where progressive thinking leads to a terror of stating basic, unarguable facts, lest it offend the woke brigade, he wrote on Twitter. This shouldn't have to be said, tweeted former Trump advisor Stephen Miller. But if you don't know what a woman is, you shouldn't be in any position of responsibility, let alone decide the fate of the republic from our nation's highest court. Certainly ironic to have a full day of what is this, a typo or am I just dumb? Ecomia to Jackson being the first black woman nominated for the job, capped by Jackson saying she doesn't know what a woman is, tweeted National Review writer Dan McLaughlin, who added in a subsequent post. The 19th Amendment lists sex as a prohibited basis for discrimination against voting rights, and abortion advocates sometimes argue that the propensity of women to get pregnant means that gender equity requires a right to abortion. So defining what a woman is, not irrelevant.
What about understanding the 19th Amendment?
Ah, you're here!
Hey, I'm here.
Hey, you're here.
You would think knowing what a woman is would be pretty important when making law based on women, because there are in fact laws for women.
Yeah,
just curious.
And if we can't define what women are anymore, if women can be anything, any which way, then how do we define what a lesbian is? How do we define what a bisexual is? How can we define any of all of our cool categories if we don't even have a definition of woman?
So I actually have a Webster's dictionary.
No.
From 1989.
Get that out of here.
You want to know what it says? What a woman is?
Solo layout. That's what
you want me to read? You want me to read what a woman is?
Where did you find such a relic?
This has been this is Nisha's. I borrowed it for. I'm not surprised. She's a smarty pants. So I was like, I gotta borrow your dictionary for a little bit, if you don't mind. I'm gonna read it. You guys ready for this?
Yes,
Woman.
ready.
All right, let's see here. It's right next to Wolverine. There's a little picture of a Wolverine.
I mean, aren't they? They're not dissimilar.
Is it a correlation? I don't know.
Depending on what time of the month it is, I think woman and Wolverine can be pretty similar.
Okay, ready? Woman. The female human being.
What? Hold on. What even is that?
Okay, hold on. We'll get into that. So I actually did this. I said, all right, well, what's a female, right?
Right.
So I'm go over to female real quick. Bear with me while this is how they used to do it, before the internet.
This is back when there were phone books and dictionaries.
Here we go. Female, you ready?
Okay.
Designating or of the sex that produces ova and bears offspring.
Ah, but Adam, can't men get pregnant?
No, they cannot. No.
I don't know. I've heard otherwise.
They can't, though. We can discuss that if you want.
And you know what? Like that dictionary was printed, you said, in the 80s?
89, yeah. Pre-SJW world.
I bet if you got a 2022 Webster's dictionary, there'd be a lot that was secretly changed.
Let's see what it says nowadays.
Yeah, let's see what Webster Online thinks. This is sad.
Greg, doesn't your show start in 7 minutes?
No, I did my show already. What are you talking about?
Oh, okay. I was just off on time.
No, it's all gravy. Yeah, I started 2 hours ago.
Cool.
Let's see. Woman, Webster's dictionary. It says an adult female person.
Uh-oh.
A grown-up female person as distinguished from a man or a child. Sometimes any female person. Okay. There we go. And then female. Being the sex that typically has the capacity to bear. Typically.
Typically.
Right, so there's that argument. Well, I can't, like, there's women that are out there that are like, well, I can't give birth. So does that mean I'm not a woman? It's like, no, that means there's something wrong.
If they've gone through the change, system. Menopause, they're just.
Or they were never able to. And then, that's the argument. But that just means that there's something wrong with their reproductive organs. And that sucks, but that still means you were still born with 2 X chromosomes and not a Y, which creates the dick, right? I mean, when your cells are forming, if there's a Y involved, it tells the body to form with a penis, and 2 X's means it creates the ovaries and the whole production
So why
factory.
Can't we define it by what chromosomes you're given? Because those are not.
Well, their whole argument is, it's not. It's a mental thing, which in that sense they're right. It is a mental thing.
We've let it become
not in the way that they're saying, though.
I mean, our culture has let it become defined by.
I'm right, Eliza.
I'm not saying nothing. I'm like, I might.
I'll say it.
I know you both will. That's why I'm just sitting here minding my P's and Q's.
It's pretty nuts. Like, it always bothers me when I see like pictures or stories about like. I don't know. Like, I mean, there are biological women who have transitioned to men who are still able to give birth. I'm like, I just feel bad. I guess I feel bad for the kids, but like,
well, they're not men though. They're just women that are saying that they're men.
And I hate hearing these stories like of biological men who transitioned to women who were like, oh, I tried to let my baby suckle at me and nothing was there. And I'm like, that's fucked up to me.
That's child abuse.
It's disgusting and confusing for everyone involved. Like,
they're mentally wrong and sick. If they're that demented that they're trying to let their child suck on their male titties, it's like, that's disgusting.
Yeah, they're strictly decorative. They are not functional.
Right.
No, I mean, baby suck on a pacifier, and I don't know. I don't know.
True.
I could argue and debate with that a little bit just for the closeness or the sensation for the child. I could see that in a non-creepy way, but
Do you think there's
What?
any scenario
No,
in which a
hold
baby
on,
sucking
hold on,
on
hold
a
on.
male
No, wait.
titty is like
Sorry.
somehow
No.
soothing and okay?
No, Eliza. No. If there's a guy that's letting a baby suck on his like breast because of like some sort of connection, I'm gonna reiterate that's a mental disorder.
Because the
They're-
baby
they are
still wants
sick.
milk to come out. I doubt a baby would be like, no, I'm doing this to like make my dad feel better about themselves.
I don't know. I gotta think about that.
I have experience with this, unfortunately, since I am a father. When my son was maybe, I want to say 4 to 6 months old, we were at a pool, and of course, I've got no shirt on.
Feels like a new
And
story to me.
sometimes babies just automatically go to anything that resembles a nipple.
Uh-huh. And did
But
you bring them to your nipple?
Ugh.
hell
do it on
no,
purpose?
no,
Did you
no.
do it for comfort, for your feelings? Exactly. So
Right.
you're not you
That's
don't
what I'm
have
saying.
a sick mental disease.
There's something wrong with anybody who entertains that even for a half a second. Like
Right.
it's
And
immediately.
did you let the baby
wrong.
just say, "Well, all right, I guess you found
I
it."
guess you know better.
You
person
know,
who's
who
been
am
around
I?
for 5
I guess
minutes.
I'm a woman now.
It's a problem with the adults. It's not the baby. The babies are gonna go to anything, whether it's a pacifier, a bottle, or any nipple. It doesn't matter. They're gonna go for it. And any adult.
Yes,
They
that's
don't
what
know any
Sarah
better.
is
Who's
saying
okay
here.
with
It's
it is
it would
crazy.
be a fetish for the adult, and if you're at
Thank you.
all involving a baby in a fetish, that is fucked up.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
I think my nephew, I visited both my niece and nephew when they were really young, and like, I was never shirtless, but like, yeah, they act like they're about to go for it, and it's like, oh yeah, there's a
Yeah, but
tit in your face,
babies are
not in it.
clueless. They don't
Clothed,
know.
but
They have to
yeah.
be taught. It's like a vegan cat. You know, it's the same with a trans child. They have to be taught this stuff. Filing cabinets have nipples. Apparently.
Filing
It's
cabinet.
the little lock button. You know, when you got to unlock it, you got to push that thing over.
Eliza, are you feeling like you have to hold back? I imagine you get a ton of shit from people. Like I feel like you do a lot of good in this world and for survivors, but do you ever feel like people, whether it's your followers or just like randoms, try to put you in a box or sort of like tell you who you need to be?
They try a little bit sometimes, but this is to no avail. It's the worst. It's not a good choice to try to tell me how to be. There have been times where people have mistaken me for a women's rights activist, which I'm not. Like, I'm not specifically a women's rights activist. I'm a survivor advocate and an activist for survivors. That's across the spectrum. So it doesn't matter to me what the gender is. I will advocate for you if you're a survivor regardless. So sometimes people get misconstrued and want me to speak up on issues, and it's not my issue. Sometimes I have to remind myself, like, I can't be in every battle. There are a lot of battles I want to be in, but I just can't. So I try to keep my eye on the prize and stick to what I'm good at and what I'm good at talking about. They try, one issue I have all the time is people think I lean politically one way or the other, because if they watch my feed one day, you never fully know what you're going to get. And I really try to make a concerted effort to show multiple sides of the story. So this specific issue with the judge, I showed both sides of the story on my feed. I was not picky on party lines. I showed both sides through the corporate press. One side was saying, the judge has been light on child sexual abuse material convictions. The other side was saying and tried to debunk that. I showed both sides. And then I let my followers and viewers decide. And I try to really, and then, by the way, I'm not like wobbly on my politics, and I'm not, I don't try to remain, on the fence. I'm just an anarchist, so I don't care. Does that make sense?
I am curious about your position on the whole thing, because this is, it took over the news for a little while. I reported on, talk about it. I don't know how to stay in one battle. I jump into any battle that it suits me, or not even suits me. I just jump in, head first. But I am curious.
This is
like
such a cool moment for me. I'm sorry, Critter, and I'll get to that. But like, you two are probably one of the first two that actually put me on.
Oh,
really?
Seriously, like, both of you were very instrumental in me even like doing anything I'm doing now. Chrissie, I think,
Wow.
was the first or second comedian to have me on. And you asked right away to interview me. And Critter was right there in the beginning, very early beginning too. This is kind of wild.
Wow.
It's
Yeah,
like
we
a
pre-podcast,
album.
Eliza. Yeah.
Yep,
great
that's true.
album.
The first
But,
time you were on my show, you were on a phone, and there
Yes,
was
and same with
cat-
Chrissie. I was just
there was
talking
a cat
Yep.
battle going on.
with Chrissie. I was on a phone. In my room on my phone, like, oh my
Yep.
gosh, didn't even know how to do, like, I had so much black eye makeup on for my first Chrissie because I wasn't used to doing interviews, so I didn't know if I wore a bunch of black makeup it would make me look crazy.
I bet you put the cats in the other room for her show, though.
The cats don't listen regardless. But no, the truth is, like, the cats they have a mind of their own. But the truth is, I'm still relatively new being out here speaking about all these things. So
Yeah.
it's like, you know, the human trafficking, child sexual abuse material in the digital space, and you know, sexual assault and domestic violence were always my core issues I wanted to talk about. I don't
Right.
want to talk about anything else particularly, but unfortunately, sometimes because of those issues, I do end up talking about other issues. But Bridget Fetisi a long time ago told me, girl, you're going to limit yourself if you only talk about that stuff. And she gave me a good piece of advice. And
She's right.
a bunch of pieces of advice. And so, you know, I do only sort of talk about those things. And I do self-censor a lot. I self-censor a lot.
Well, if you don't want to talk about it, I'm not going to try to force you
No.
to talk about it.
About the judge?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my position, well, there's a couple things. Number one, I'm grateful that we're having these conversations. I think for one of the first times that I can remember, the United States citizens are realizing how little time these child abusers that are viewing child sexual abuse material are getting. I
Yep.
don't think people fully realize this is not an issue that people are paying attention to. I scream about it all the time, but the general public isn't necessarily looking at this specific issue. I don't think people understand these sentences are light. They're
Yep.
light on these child abusers. They're light on these traffickers. They're light on these I don't want to get you banned. They're light on these pedophiles.
Nail file. I think you mean nail file. No.
Right. Right. I don't want to get. I don't even. I'm so new. I'm
going to get myself banned. It won't be you.
I'm new to being on YouTube, so I'm not sure what I can say and can't say yet. So,
well, I'm on the show, so automatically there's you know a risk
downgrading
involved.
the algorithm. We're like the trifecta of definitely downgrading the algorithm.
You've been criggled.
It's true.
Right. You've been criggled and glued. But no, I mean, I'm really grateful. So, on its face, yes, it's horrible. But as an advocate, I'm grateful that I can sort of zoom out and be like, bigger picture. I'm grateful that we're even having this conversation. Because I don't think the general public understands what.
No,
what
I think the general public doesn't even think it's that big a deal or that common. I think that's how much it gets played down.
I think that not the first part. I think people think it's a big deal, but the second part is more accurate.
I meant like. Not that it's not a big deal, like it's really not that common. I think the average person
okay. All right, you're saying the same thing. Right,
it's that common.
Yeah, they think that it's a tiny little minority of people that are caught more often than not, when in reality they're not caught, and sometimes they're actually in charge, letting people off that are also doing it.
I mean, I pretty much post a police officer. I pretty much almost every day guaranteed can post at least one teacher and one police officer a day on my feed. These are people that have been caught with child sexual abuse material and have been, and that story made it to the corporate press. So if you watch my feed for one day, but in 2021, these are new numbers that just came out, so I don't quite have them memorized. By the end of the year, I'll have them all memorized by heart. But in 2021, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children received 29.3 million reports of child sexual abuse material. That's 29.3 million to the National Center for Missing Children.
Wow.
Hold on. No, it gets worse.
Oh, it gets worse?
Buckle up.
Yeah, it gets worse. That was up 35% from 2020. 2020 was the highest we've ever seen. But there's a thing about that number, 29.3 million. That was the number of reports to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Each number of reports can contain any number of images and videos in it. So one report can contain 15,000 images. Does that make sense?
Shit.
So
and that's what's reported.
That's what was reported. And from that, Yeah, I mean, these numbers are absolutely insane. So out of that 29.3, 29.1 of those 29.1 million of those reports reported to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children were reported from our tech platforms. That like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, 4chan's on here, basically Amazon. These are all the companies that reported this child sexual abuse material. It's
Wow.
right out here. A big one this year was Dropbox, of course, Instagram, Facebook. So it's a Snapchat's on here. I mean, this is all like these are our regular platforms that we use every day. It's not like this is
Wow.
being reported from the dark web. So I know people don't think it's a problem. It's a big problem. I can't overstate that.
Yeah.
But
I just had a revelation in my head. So I've talked about. I'm gonna get to my point, so I might seem to veer off for a little bit. So I've been talking about what has led us here to the society that we're in right now. Like, what is causing the issues? And one of the biggest problems that I found is single parent homes
Mm.
not having a balance between having a strong father figure and a strong female figure, mother figure. Both I think are absolutely necessary, and we're seeing a lack of fathers in life. So people are being not necessarily smothered, but nurtured too much by
There's an
mothers
imbalance of
because
energy. You
that's
need
what
tough love
mothers
and you need soft
should
love.
do, right?
Yeah.
It's a good thing that mothers nurture, but without like the fatherly stern love that's gonna smack you and be like, you're getting nurtured too much. You got to recognize reality, and like that balance between the two. You see a softness that's now being instilled in all of youth, right? And we see it. They can't even take a joke. They can't
No
hear a
criticism.
word.
Yeah.
No criticism. Nothing. They want. That's why they want communism, because they think that it's going to be this utopia where everything's going to be given to them, which is what they want, because that's what they have always gotten.
No struggle, no rejection, no, competition. It's like, first place, that none of it
Correct.
means anything because anybody can identify as anything.
So what are they looking up to, right? I mean, what are they attracted to? So now I'm bringing it to what we were just talking about. So you don't have a father figure, you just have a mother figure that treats you like a child, right? Like nurture, that's what you get nurtured until you get set out of the nest. So no one's being taught how to like leave the nest and like look up to people that are good at being outside the nest.
Mhm.
They're looking at like things mentally, or not necessarily even mentally. Do you see what I'm trying to say? They're
Staying in the nest mentally, emotionally, instead of like,
and
oh,
sexually is what I'm trying to say. It's almost as if we're breeding the way that society is nurturing people and making them soft
mm,
is keeping them into that. So they're not even attracted to like adults
there's just
anymore,
a lack
because
of maturity on all
you
fronts.
treat
Like,
anyone like a child their entire life, they're going to act like a child their
yeah,
entire life. So these children, these adult children, are going after kids. Well, this is not just one
these
reason.
TikTok teachers.
It's
Yeah.
also because they're the most easily susceptible to manipulation. Their children are clueless. They don't know. They don't have a mind and awareness and emotional intelligence that most adults should have. Because I don't even think most adults do have emotional intelligence, which is another sad thing. But I don't know. It just popped in my head while we were just discussing this, listening to Eliza speak, and I'm like, that could be part of the cause that's causing a huge spike in this. At least, is it a huge spike, or has it always been a thing as bad as it
well,
always has been? I don't know.
and I think you definitely are tapping into something there, and it's a multifaceted problem. I mean,
I'm
back
sure.
in the day, it used to be pedophile chopsticks,
Nail file. No.
Creepers.
trading this imagery on Polaroids in like back alleys. This was kind of, it was hard to get material, because how do you
Hmm.
even start that conversation to get the material? It was sort of a darker, seedier network.
Right.
Now, as a result of the internet every year, and cell phones was the big sort of when it really spiked, when it really jumped. That was when we saw the biggest jump. And the truth is, when people are seeing this content, they want more and more and more, and they're connected. And it's sort of like with other situations where they want more violent, more young. It doesn't like, it's not a thing that gets better, you know? So I understand what you're saying. And these people are sick that are viewing this content, knowingly viewing this content. There's something else that I should say, just because I feel like it's due diligence to say this. A large swath of this content is self-generated. So what self-generated means is it'll be a minor taking this imagery of themselves and sending a text or posting it somewhere. So when Facebook has done, believe it or not, I can't believe I'm giving Facebook compliments. Facebook's done a really, really thorough job at collecting data, and also has changed some things over the last period of time, a little about a year. And they're really doing a good job at catching this type of content before it even needs to be reported. They're almost at like a 98% of proactive rate of removal before it even gets reported. And what they're finding is a large portion of this content is self-generated content, and also folks trying to raise awareness and draw attention to it, and inadvertently sharing the content also. So or like, you know, they'll see it and they'll share it. So I don't want to you know, scare people. I mean, to me, self-generated content is bad as well. Like, so yes, there are a lot of these degenerate, disgusting individuals. Other things that I think are important to look at are the age. So the age where it's not self-generated content is extremely young.
Yeah.
That's where we get into the like extremely sick individuals that are making this content. You know, I think that regardless how I feel, and I'm doubt I'll change on this, is if you knowingly seek out this content, there's no chance for rehabilitation, and you should probably be away for life. I don't even think it's a negotiable.
Well,
and
that's why this judge is a really big problem, because she's sending a clear message that it's not that big of a deal.
It is a big deal.
I know. Exactly.
The survivors that, you know, I think it would be interesting to call on the survivors of the individuals who were under fire or that were caught looking at their content, to have those survivors explain the long-term impact that material has had on their life. You know, I sit here, I joke with everybody, you know, I hang out with a lot of comedians, I have a lot of fun friends, and everybody's cool, whatever. I don't think I can overstate the long-term impacts that this has on these victims' lives. I mean, most of them will never be the same. And I can't express that. Most of them will never fall in love. Most of them will never have a normal, you know, adult relationship. Some will never be able to work. This is trauma that can literally
never conceive, you know, have fertility problems.
I mean, the list goes on and on and on. The risk of dying by suicide, self-harm, addiction, homelessness. I mean, mental health issue. I mean, the list goes on and on. And you know, I like to have fun and I like to joke around, but at the end of the day, it's about these victims and survivors. I would like to hear from some of the survivors, you know, if they aren't currently minors, of course, you know, those individuals that were caught and let out after 3 months, what impact that material has had on their life.
Yeah.
I also want to know, why are these people that are what was the term when they do it themselves?
Self-generating.
The self-generation of these images. What is it? You know, are they trying to get validation? Are they trying to? It's almost like they want to be adults. They want attention from adults, because it's almost like kids don't want to be treated like children. They want to be adults. They see how adults treat each other. You know, I worked with kids teaching skateboarding, and I had a couple other teachers that would treat them like children, and I could see that kids always hated them, that, and I always talk to kids like they're, like human beings. I don't act like they're children. I just say, this is how I would speak to this person. I'm going to speak the same way to you. And they
But that's like a respect level. And I think when it comes to like, I think sex stuff,
well, it's
like I
validation.
remember,
They still
I think
want attention, but it's in a non positive manner, and they don't have. Sorry, my mind's racing with trying to solve this.
I just want to answer some of your questions. So some of the self-generated content, just to add some more nuance, is blackmailed from these minors. So it's not as cut and dry as you might think.
John Doe, I don't think it ever will be.
John Doe, no, it's very nuanced. John Doe number 1, John Doe number 2, the Twitter child sexual exploitation material case.
Right.
Those 2 minor men were blackmailed. If you go back over that story, were blackmailed into self-producing that content, and then continued to be blackmailed to send more content. Sextortion. There was just a great documentary out there about sextortion, and it could happen to anyone, even adults, of course, but minors we definitely want to protect. So just because there is self-generated content out there doesn't mean that there was anything specific going on, other than maybe that the family or guardian caregiver was not paying close enough attention. I think that this goes back to your original point. Well, there are a few things. Number one, when we are, as a society, glorifying, and by the way, I'm not like hating on anybody's hustle. I love like the Kim Kardashian energy. I love like Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion, all those, they're cool. I listen to that. I look at that. That's cool. But when a young person is shown this type of imagery, at a very young age, they cannot differentiate between entertainment and reality. So they want to produce the same type of content. And it gets pretty ugly. That's why I always tell parents to stay involved in your children's lives and also keep a pretty good handle on what they got going on online.
I think you said it right there. Parents, plural. Both parents giving respect, giving validation, letting their kids know that they are validated, that they don't need anyone else to be validated, to need to put yourself in these kind of situations. Now, obviously, you just said it's not always cut and dry.
No.
I'm sure those situations exist, and I every single time I get down to the root of it, it's like nuclear families is so important. It is so important to have a balanced family life, because it sets in motion.
Like not even necessarily like just having 2 parents, I think is better than 1 parent, because it's like you have another angle, another set of eyes looking at a situation, another personality.
I mean, this is rather base for me to say, but like 2 women is 2 nurturing people. It is not the same. It isn't. And 2 guys isn't the same either.
You're gonna miss stuff. Yeah. I mean, if you have a balanced set of parents, like, it's more likely.
There could be a feminine woman and a masculine woman, lesbian couple, right? I could see that, right? If they have that inherent balance between the 2 of them, okay, I get it, right? I don't know. It could be the case. I'm jumping on that.
Devil's advocate.
Sure.
I don't know if I agree with you, by the way. I mean, I grew up in a 2-parent household. I'm hyped. My parents are still in love. They're probably just like sitting having a cocktail right now.
That's so rare too.
They love each other. They're like obsessed. So I love them and I'm very happy. But
they did a good job.
And now look at you. You're Carmen Sandiego.
Hey, I'm the one who's saying it. You shut your mouth.
In certain cultures, there would be time periods where the man would go off to war and, the woman in the community. And I think what you're missing in that puzzle, because I don't necessarily think it has to be the exact prescribed parents, but strong, healthy communities. That's
right. an
that's the difference.
uncle could bring that strong male influence.
Yes, if you
A
had a
mother's
tribe,
friend could bring that strong male influence.
grandfather
A
and uncle,
stepfather. Yeah.
let's just hypothesize for a second. If you had a tribe and if all the men went out hunting to find food for like 6 months, I don't know, I'm just like making something up. You would count on the other members of the tribe, the elders, of both, sexes, the elders and folks like that. I get what you're saying, Craig, but that's not everybody's story. Some people pass away from,
yeah, of course,
all
yeah,
different
yeah,
things.
no,
And
of
that's not
course,
saying
like,
just because you don't have the standard doesn't mean that you're going to end up in. So that's why
I
as an
agree with that.
as
Of
an
course.
anarchist, that's why I always say, strong families, healthy communities, because when families
Absolutely.
aren't strong, communities have to be there to get the back. And
Yeah.
that's what we're really lacking.
But as a general rule of thumb, though, it's not, I'm not wrong. I don't think so anyway,
Well, let's put it this way. I believe that anyone with a set of, eyes, ears, anyone looking at our country, we are, it is the fall of our country. And there was clearly something that we were doing previously that we're not doing now. And clearly that we were doing now that we weren't doing previously. So I would be willing to, let's put it this way. If I ever have children, it'll be exactly how you just explained, Craig. And the reason I don't have children, because I didn't see that future, with anyone, and I wouldn't raise them any which way. And also too, just because of my job, but one could say, here I am. I was a survivor. I'm a victim of human trafficking. I don't like to say victim, but in this case, in this sentence, I will. As a minor, and my parents are in love. I was homeschooled. I had everything perfect. That was part of the problem. So I'm kind of always be kind of pushed back a little bit on that. But I will say this, and I've never said this in public before. I feel part of I want to make sure I'm very careful with what I say right now, because I want to make sure it's not offensive. Part of my healing journey, I believe, was strengthened because of their love, because of my parents' love for each other and me. So I don't think I would be, the trafficking happened partially because of them not telling me how the world was, but my healing journey and the reason why I could sit here today and, talk trash and dress like Carmen Sandiego and be okay, is because of that groundwork that they laid in me too.
Well, I know
Yeah.
I've had many conversations with you, and I can tell that you're of sound mind and you're a freaking badass woman in this world. And
Craig.
Get a room.
even though that you fell into that world, and you came out of it, just even like you kind of like almost disproved what I've been saying, but you're still here being a strong ass woman, who's powerful and is you're
Making a huge difference.
you came back
Yeah.
around, so it's like even still, like it's still proved that anyone. But as I agree with you, anyone could fall into anything, right? Anyone could.
Yeah, when I look back
go down
as
a
a
wrong
young
path.
as a
Can I say
young
something real
woman,
fast?
yeah.
I was thinking the other day, this is hilarious, and I'm glad that Craig is here for this. I was thinking the other day, I've never been helped out by a self-identifying male feminist. I've never been helped
Same.
self-identifying male feminist. I don't even know if any are around me. If you are, please comment on my Twitter, because I've never seen you before.
Yeah,
But
what
I
is
think
that?
you scare them.
But the men that have helped me, like Crigler has helped me a lot, like a lot. And Siraj Hashmi, both men are married, have nothing to gain, never been creepy, and they've helped me so freaking much. And they're not even out here about it. They don't want any praise, and they don't say, "Oh, I'm a male feminist." Oh, they don't even want any praise for it. And I'm like, the men that have really helped me the most. There's another guy, Jeremy, that's really helped me out a lot with my podcast here locally. And, they don't want any shine from it. They do it just because they want to help a woman, help survivors. They believe in me, and they just do it. And I'm like, dang, where are all the male feminists? Where are the men that
real
are,
ones.
because the real
They
ones
don't call themselves male feminists.
No,
They're
that's
just
what I'm
like grown ass men doing the right thing. They're not out there telling everybody they're male feminists.
I think
They're
that that's
chivalrous, they're
interesting,
kind, they're
though.
loyal. Yeah.
You would think the male feminists would be clamoring around survivors like, oh, how can I help make this a safe space for you? No, probably not. They're like the main ones, cursing me out on Twitter for nothing. I
Yeah,
just
Yeah.
had to
they're the ones trying to use it to get laid, and or
Yeah.
you know, working in the trafficking business to try to get people to fall into it.
don't get me started.
When I look back as a young woman, the things like looking back, like, wow, the things I did that I clearly wasn't ready to do. And in the moment, like, just felt pressured. Like, a lot of it came from, yeah, wanting to impress like older guys, and even like guys my age, but being past, like, pushed sexually past what I should have been doing at that age, what I was ready to do. Like, my gut was screaming, no, like, this is uncomfortable. But I did those things because I was like, this is how you prove your worth to somebody. This is how you be cool. This is how you get guys to like you. And this is what you have to do. And like looking back, I wish I had probably a parent or an adult telling me, hey, like, first of all, it is okay to say no, not yet on anything. Like, I didn't even think saying no was an option for like so many things. And it comes down to like,
Well, that explains a lot. No, just kidding.
validation, right? Like,
Love you, Chrissy. Just kidding.
Adam's like, loud and clear, message received, sexually generous, got it.
No.
But everyone's probably listening to this going, oh, classic daddy issues. Not like the answer is like too much validation and too much helicopter parenting, right? It's like there's got to be a balance, but like,
Well, there's
right, like if
always
I
an
were to have
exception to
kids,
the
it's like,
rule.
yeah, give
Always.
your kids like the sense that like you can say no and your opinions and feelings like are actually valid. You don't have to like let yourself be pressured into doing more. I don't
Right.
know.
But I even have to, it's setting boundaries. I think is something that's really good to learn in general, anyway, because
Yeah.
I've overextended myself even in the past week because I don't say no well. I think that's I don't think we've ever talked about. It's funny, Chrissy, because I would consider you a friend, and I don't
Yeah.
think we've ever even talked about that type of stuff on your end. I never asked if you had. I don't know. Maybe I'd have to go back over.
I mean, I probably technically, I don't know.
We'll talk about it right now if you don't feel comfortable
We
with it.
can. It wasn't like, it's funny because with
Whoa,
sex,
whoa.
I was
You didn't ask me if
very,
I'm comfortable with this
yeah,
conversation.
hey.
I'm just kidding.
You've interviewed me like 100 times.
I know. I'm just playing.
You're more mad about these issues than I am.
It's true. Man,
but like
I snapped yesterday.
My coping is totally comedy. And I think it's like I can talk about experiences I've had and then I say them on stage in the form of a joke and you hear a room full of people laugh and that goes, oh, that's healing. Okay, we've all kind of been through this. Like a lot of other women
is
in
the
here
great medicine, and it's also the best way to spread truth around. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, yeah, and droplets. Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
So it's so strange because like for me, I was very like, I'm not having sex. Whatever it was. I don't know if it was the sex ed in my high school or middle school or what, or the fact that they made us carry around an egg or like a baby and I had to hide. It would cry periodically. I just would shove it in the closet and put sweaters over it. I'd be like, shut up, baby. And so for some reason, like I was very good at holding out on sex, but like the other stuff, was happening far more than it should have. And it was this whole like, oh, well, you got to be cool. You got to get guys to like you. This is what you do. This is everyone else is doing this. And it's funny. And I make jokes about it because it's like, I was 14 the first time I went down on a guy. I had no clue. I make a joke about it that I like had like this whole head pushing joke. And I was like, all right, get ready. This is about to be the worst blowjob you've ever had, buddy. Buckle up. So it's good to be able to like make jokes about it. But like looking back, I would have been like, no, it's good. I'm good. Like, drive me back home. But again, it's like I didn't see my mom sticking up for herself with my dad. I never I had no examples of women being like, there was no one. Now it seems like there's too much of a conversation about feelings. Back then, 80s, 90s. There was very little at least happening in my family, conversation happening about like, what's going on in school. What do you it's just very little. It was very much like everyone had a house key. You let yourself in. Nobody in my family, I think, had the sex talk. It's just, we just figured it all out. So, but I wouldn't go around saying like, oh, I was a victim. Like, was I taken advantage of several times? Absolutely. But like, I think it could have been worse. And it's like,
It
for
was funny.
me, coping is through comedy.
I interviewed Giannis Papas the other day, and I was asking him if he thought, that there was a lot of crossover between comedians and, trauma survivors, especially, as children, sort of, because I was like, I don't know how I ended up with so many comedy followers and vice versa, but I feel like a lot of survivors of, child sexual abuse, molestation, human trafficking, sexual assault, and even in domestic violence tend to like comedy. And I feel like comedians, I don't know, there's something there. And I was like, is it that a lot of comedians are trauma survivors? Not all, of course, but I just think comedians have such a cool, unique relationship. And he was like, yeah, we laugh at the pain, we laugh through the pain. And I think it's not the best answer for everyone all the time, but it sure as heck helps me.
Because
Well, they have the
sometimes you
thickest
want to
skin.
talk about it in a way that is not so serious. Like, sometimes people are not comfortable going deep. Some people have repressed shit they keep in for a lifetime. So
Yeah.
the humor is just a little bit of a pressure release valve. It's a little bit of you're letting some air out, whether you're ready to talk about it or not. But if that's happened to you, that's a good way for you to start processing it, is through laughing about it. Like, you're just releasing tension. Everybody else is releasing tension. That's why I really love comedy, is I can get on stage and almost like make fun of myself. And if it makes somebody else feel less alone or less weird or bad or, regretting decisions, then great. Like, that's absolutely what I want to do.
You're so good, Chrissie. I'm so proud of you. Your career has just exploded and you're killing it. And
Congrats on number 1, by the way. Are you still on number 1 right now?
Yes,
Nice.
on Amazon. I can't believe it. Like, I was hoping for one day, and it's been like 10 now, which is
oh
crazy.
my gosh, that's so, I can't. I'm like,
all thanks to viewers like you.
it is, but I think it's so crazy. Like, I remember, because it's been really fun, because I feel like I sort of came on the scene, and then it's been so much fun watching people that have supported me or that I just vibe with, like, explode, like pop in, popularity or whatever. Crigler was already popping out here, so that's not a fair.
Yeah.
Crigler been popping.
You are already popping. You are already popping. But like,
Thank
certain people like yourself, Chrissie's, like, just exploded in the time frame that I was around, and I was like, whoa, this is like watching a rocket ship. And I'm really excited for you. I think it's freaking awesome.
Thank you. If anything, like, just coming off like this small little tour, I was just saying I was in North Carolina and Georgia and Florida, did really only 3 shows, like a pretty small little mini tour. But I know what it felt like 3 years ago when I was around touring, even like 2 years ago. And there's like a noticeable more chunk of people at these shows, and
For you.
a noticeable chunk of like people hanging out after, wanting to go and drink after, wanting autographs. And it's like, so that's meaningful, because it's like you can just watch numbers go up on Twitter. You can watch watch your viewer numbers. It's like, that's all just
Numbers.
stuff on a screen. It's like
Ones and
sometimes
zeros.
and I don't know, like, Frank sometimes will notice numbers and charts, and he's looking at that. Maybe that's a guy brain thing. But for me, when I see people, that's what I notice. And I get to talk to people afterwards. I'm like, oh, wow, like, this is and then when people come up to me after the show and hug me and like, you helped me through the last year of my life. There was a guy at the show in North Carolina. He's like, I buried 5 people in the last 18 months, like you and all the, Friday Night Tights guys and all these other shows I listened to helped me through it. I was like, I'm going to cry. And then he just was like, I have to go. I have to get up early for work tomorrow. I'm like, you don't want a shot? You don't want to, oh God, and it really, like, it touched me. And I'm just like, wow, I'm not even the fucking best, funniest comedian. It's like, sometimes you feel like you don't deserve it. I don't know. But then when you're with people physically and they're telling you that you've helped them in some way, then you're like, fuck, this is awesome. Like, it makes it worth it.
I think that's really amazing. And I know so many, I know the way that comedy can impact survivors. I've just really seen it a lot lately. I don't know, it's something about Twitter. There's an interesting crossover there. So I've just seen and had a lot of survivors reach out to me and say, oh, I think this is, cool that you're collaborating with this person or that person. And, you know, I've just seen the way it lifts survivor spirit. And the other thing too, I'm also trying to show other survivors that I can laugh. Does that make sense? But
Definitely.
you will help people like in unique ways, Chrissy. And I think one thing that you did that was real sharp, and I would love to, because now I have my own podcast. So now I'm back to ground zero with my own podcast.
Yeah, you do.
It's like 70 views on YouTube. But I'm popping on Odyssey.
Stop, you're popping.
I'm popping
Everyone-
on Odyssey and I'm popping on Apple and Spotify, but YouTube not so much. But one thing I think you did really well, Crigler also, of course, you were like grinding every freaking day, like reaching out to the good guests, reaching out. You like really during the pandemic just super went full in on interviews and that whole thing. And I think one thing, because I'm on the struggle bus right now. I can barely pay anyone to watch my podcast. Like how many did you guys have to do before you saw anything before you saw anything?
You mean like numbers? You mean like viewers per se? Or you're talking about like social media following or like?
No, I got the social media. Social media, I'm good. But even though Twitter, of course, that throttles me down to a nub, but social media, I don't care so much. But it's just like with the podcast and doing what you guys are doing, like there had to be times where you wanted to give up. Like, why did you keep going?
Yeah.
Well,
Oh
there
yeah.
still is.
Because
There still is.
because I set an expectation for myself. It's like I decided in May of 2020. It's like I'm not gonna be, and I almost talked myself out of doing a podcast. Like I started in January of 2020, and I for months, maybe even a full year, was saying every comedian's got a podcast. It's the last thing this world needs. It's another comedian with a podcast, because most comedians do a once a week podcast and they talk about very insular shit in the comedy world. And it's like, it's great if you're a comedy nerd, but it's like, it's hard to get people on. It's hard to have a wide reach with that. And so I kind of like decided, and like, you know, talking about with Frank and like what I want to do and who I want to be or whatever. And I just made the decision like May 2020, like I'm going to do 4 times a week, no matter what. I'm doing more. If I do once a week, I'm just going to be like everybody else. Let me do 4 times a week. Let me try to keep it up. And I've been able to, and it's just like, no matter what, like even when I'm on the road, even during the last week, I was on the road doing shows. I had to still record podcasts and put them out from my hotel room. Cause it's like, I've set this expectation, and maybe once or twice a snafu happened and I couldn't put something out. But then I'd be like, all right, well, then now this one has to go out Sunday, or this one has to go out Saturday. And it just being consistent is such a huge part of success.
Definitely
I've
it is.
noticed.
Yeah, I had a rough patch for a second, because when I first started my show, I was still working for Tim. But then after I got fired and I kind of ventured off to do my own thing, a lot of people were expecting the Timcast show still. You know, they were expecting that same environment, but it was just me. And Tim and I had a very distinct dynamic, and a lot of people were mad at me for leaving and unsubbed, and I was attacked for a couple months because because Tim never addressed it ever. People just came to their own conclusions, and I'm not one to, you know, I've never told the world what happened, and I probably won't
Until now.
No, but I lost a lot of steam, because a lot of people were coming to my shows expecting for me to drop that hate and like explain, and that's all they wanted. So they did, and then when they didn't get that and they realized it wasn't the same show from me, you know, I had a huge drop off, and that was, you know, it wasn't like, I don't want to say it was depressing, but it was like, it hit me. I'm like, damn, like people don't want to watch me. But I had a really core audience that would just show up for me daily and were always there. And that was the reason I loved being on the Timcast show, is because of the chat. Like I would be sitting there reading chat. It was so much more enjoyable than listening to Tim prattle on daily. And people are like, how dare you talk shit about Tim? And I'm like, are you serious? Like I sat across and talked shit to his face every day. Now suddenly I'm not allowed to, you know? And then I did it for years when we were roommates. Like you guys, like y'all don't get to talk about Tim. Like, I can talk about him because we were roommates. Like, we have a fucking history. Like, shut your mouth. You know, you don't understand what I've been through with Tim. You know, no one understands it. But my show, what you just said there, consistency is key. I stayed true. I stayed constantly doing it, and I started gaining subscribers again. And I'm like, all right, you know, and people started saying like, hey, you know, I really like your vibe. I like your positivity. I like how you try to, you know, figure out the positive side of things. And I'm like, yeah, I do like to do that. So people, it made me, and I had a really good friend of mine.
You, Craig, is you're really like that, like 100% of the time. Like, you're actually like that. Like, you're so nice. You're so kind. You're a gentleman. You're a man.
Thank you.
Good man.
You can grow an even beard, which not everyone can do. Sometimes people, it grows in patchy and it looks
I mean,
bad.
try not to think, because Crigler is easy on the eyes. I'm not giving you
He doesn't rely on that. He doesn't.
Chris is easy on that. It's funny. I actually said that because Craig and I are doing an interview week after next.
Yeah, a week from Tuesday.
Yeah. So
don't blow your whole load here.
We always have stuff to talk about. But trust me, there'll be some new. I'm sure there'll be some
new load.
Okay. I'm sure there's something.
Never a shortage. They're out here in full force. I mean, is it just me, or is the world just like coming for children in such a
blatant way?
Well, you could call it whatever you want. You could call it whatever you want. Whatever.
Yeah.
They're coming for kids. It's like,
yeah, they want it legalized so they can be out in the open about what they do already. They meaning the elites of the world.
It's really
anyone can be a mother, right? Anyone can like be, I don't know.
Well, and the situations with the schools and the other situations, it really is it's disgusting, and it's really disheartening. It's really disheartening, and it's really disgusting, and there's really nothing. There's not a whole lot I could say except for this is exactly what's happening. I mean, it's undeniable. I guess that's the only. I always try to look for the silver lining. To any naysayers, it's getting to be the point where it's completely undeniable that there is an agenda, and it's creepy and it's disgusting. And I'm trying not to be like a boomer about it and being all uptight, like clutching my pearls. You know what I mean? Like, because they did that during my generation. You know, I was never allowed to wear black leggings with lace on the bottom because it was too much like Madonna. My parents thought it was
wow, I remember those.
Cute, right? Girl, I'd still buy some.
Yeah, there'd be like a pink or a white legging and then like the black lace around the bottom.
Yes, but my parents at a young age didn't want me to look like Madonna because they thought it was too, they didn't explain at the time why, but now they told me later it was because it was too hypersexualized. But it's just a mess. I don't know what else to say. So that's why I just keep grinding. I wake up every day. I'm like, all right, well, people need this information. Let's get it out there. I don't know. It's hard because you both kind of move in circles that are more right of center. And I don't mean that as a diss. I'm just stating a fact. Like, you both like more right of center. The only thing that kind of irks me a little bit is like right of center can also be dramatic. Like, can also be over the top and a bit like extra and clickbaity. And what happens is everybody's credibility gets blown because they're either reactionary and a part of the problem is that I'm on Twitter a lot. There's not a lot of room for nuanced conversation on Twitter.
Well, my Twitter personality is like, you got the two devils, or the devil and the angel. My Twitter is the devil. The devil sitting on my shoulder is like, that's my Twitter account. Like,
I don't see that side from you, Craig, because all I see is the nice, like, oh, you're doing so great, Eliza. Look at you with your podcast.
Well, my show is different, right? When because on Twitter, I don't like, if I said what I said on Twitter, on YouTube, I would be banned from YouTube. I cannot believe I'm still on Twitter. It's only a matter of time before Twitter bans me. I'm shocked at that, because Charlie Kirk just got banned because you guys know his tweet. So it's like he was spouting facts, and I do the same thing constantly on my Twitter account. So like, why? I mean, sure, of course, Charlie is had a lot bigger of a following. He's much more well known. He's out there in college campuses, like not antagonizing people, but they're taking it as though he's antagonizing when he's just asking questions and debunking their stuff. Coincidentally, he's actually from the same town I'm from, in
Really?
Chicago. Yeah, in Arlington
Wow,
Heights.
yeah. Charlie Kirk suspended from Twitter, refuses to delete tweet on trans Biden appointee. Twitter labeled the post as a hateful content and banned him from the platform.
This is my
And
thing.
he founded Turning Point USA, and it was the tweet, just in case you guys missed it. It was, let's see if they put it on here.
Probably
Basically, yeah, he said that Richard Levine spent 54 years of his life as a man. He had a wife and a family. He transitioned to being a woman in 2011. Joe Biden appointed Levine to be a 4-star admiral, and now USA Today has named Rachel Levine as a Woman of the Year. Where are the feminists? And that's
they're rolling
crazy.
over in their graves. That's where they are.
Yeah. They're like, oh, we have our foot in our mouths. We can't say anything because feminism has now become a house of cards where if you are not like if you're not pro-trans anything and everything, they think that it's all going to come crumbling down.
Well, Charlie Kirk had a girl, I think her name is Libby. I don't actually know. My chat was talking about who she was, but she's an actual feminist, and he brought her on his show, and he's like, I want to hear from you. Like, what do you think? And she straight up said, women are more are easier to push around. Like men tend to be a little more stubborn, a little more I'm not going to accept what you say to me. I'm going to figure it out myself. Where
they call people out more often.
I mean, you talked about being a 14-year-old, like you were, taken advantage of at a young age. And it's very, women tend to be able to be taken advantage of more, right? It's not a stereotype. This is just the way it is. Jordan Peterson talks about it a lot. It's
the agreeableness.
So this is coming from a feminist talking to Charlie Kirk. And she was saying, it's like, all right, well, and women want to be more understanding. They want to be more accommodating to others. So when a man comes around and says, I'm actually a woman, I identify as a woman, a woman is going to accept it faster than a man will.
Oh, so we don't want to hurt their feelings. There's so much of being a woman is not hurting people's feelings.
Right. And then, of course, when you have I'm trying to reiterate what she's saying. These aren't my words. This is Charlie Kirk talking to this feminist. And she goes, when a 6'5" guy walks in with a dress and says, I'm a woman, it's actually kind of scary as well. And like Will Thomas.
What are they going to do if I don't accept them? Like, what's going to happen to me?
Tall dude, it's like, he makes them really uncomfortable in their locker room. It's a separate conversation.
This person's going to kick my ass if I don't call them a she.
Right. I don't know. I thought that was really interesting.
Oh yeah, it's an excellent point. It's comes down to the agreeableness and not wanting to hurt people's feelings. Matthew Hammond for 5. I want someone to merge the clips of the trans ma'am to say it is ma'am, and have the audio of her saying afterwards, I am not a biologist. I am sure there's a talented person who can do that. Matthew Hammond again. Did you see Ice-T's tweet? He talks about how he got robbed. I sent it to you in the tweet promoting this interview. Is that about at the gas tank? At the gas station. Jeff K for 20. Eliza is a real one. Keep up the great work and expose this horrible mess.
Thank you.
That's what she's doing.
Doing the work, Eliza.
Try.
Crash Mondo, who I met in person in Tampa this past week. Self-proclaimed male feminists are only interested in getting laid. Yep,
exactly. What the hell is a male feminist, right? I mean, men and women are different. We're
shout out Crash.
What? Yeah, Crash. Also, shout out to Eliza from a fellow anarchist. It is D-Way.
I'm getting there, Eliza.
Listen. I give everybody else about 6 months. Y'all catch up.
I want to have Eric July on my show and explain it wholeheartedly. I love that guy.
Would be about the best. I mean, Eric July, he's just about the best at explaining it. But
I know he is.
Ace Archist, who I've done a couple Twitter spaces with. Ace Archist. If you
Ace Archist. Oh, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I hope I'm saying the name. I think it's Ace Arcus. Let's see, AC. He's gonna get the shout out. He's absolutely AR. Okay, it's Ace ACE underscore ARCHIST.
Wait, say Ace
Ace
ACE.
ACE.
Oh, I see. I'll pull his thing up on the screen here.
By far, unequivocally the best at explaining it, period. And he's a great interview, and he's
Ooh.
kind.
He follows me.
Duh. A lot of you have a lot of crossover into the Liberty space. But as far as interviews go, I mean, Eric July is absolutely incredible. He's funny. Ace, kind. He's so versed, and he's a great interview. I've interviewed him twice on Twitter Spaces, and you could kind of look those up in the Twitter search bar. But I mean, he's so fire. I leave, but it's the way he explains things. He's not condescending. He's not rude. He just kind of gives the facts, and he's just so on Twitter. He's kind of a beast. He'll stay up 24 hours. He has the patience of a saint, and I'll never be like him. He probably has a photographic memory, but he's a cool dude. I would highly recommend.
But Eliza, you can only be the best you. Like, there's people out there, and here's the thing: is like we never know who is talking about us. Like, it's so easy to just be like, who is adding me? Who has mentioned me on a podcast? What clips did someone say my name in? You have no idea your impact. And think about it, like most people, like real people don't fuck with Twitter, are not on social media.
True.
So you have no idea the very special impact that you personally are making.
Well,
so don't
different thing.
Yeah. Don't feel like you have to do it like
Ace,
anybody else.
There was one night where I interviewed Ace, and I was kind of like almost in tears because I was like, I think he's one of the only let me not choke up right now. I think Ace might be one of the only non-survivors of human trafficking that fully understands, because he understands, personal, individual rights so much. I don't know. I don't want to make it too much more dramatic than it is, but he fully understands the right of the individual. And I think, the non-aggression principle and things like that. I don't want to go too off on a tangent, but Eric July is a great interview. I did his podcast, and when I was at the Blaze, this is kind of a funny story. So when I was at the Blaze, which you both have been at the Blaze.
Shout out to the Blaze.
Shout out to the Blaze.
Yeah. Shout out to, aren't they great?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that studio like you walk in there like, I'm on?
Yeah.
I walk in there, I was like,
I make a beeline for the snacks and the coffee.
Wait, there's snacks?
This is part of my
yes,
story.
in the back.
This is part of my story.
The snacks?
I made a beeline for the snacks. And in the middle of my 3-hour You Are Here interview, I got sick, really sick. So Eric July.
Oh no. Like
Yeah.
puking? Or the other side?
No, puking. Yes, I puked.
Wow. What is it, something you ate?
I believe it was something I ate. There'd been some other things going on as well, but
did you make it to the bathroom?
No.
No,
I threw up.
Oh no.
Hold on. I threw up in the middle.
You are here.
I threw up in the middle of You Are Here, the first episode. And
the first episode ever? Of the show? Oh, your first. Okay.
It was for 2 days, and the first episode I threw up. Now, if you go back and watch, I was fire, but because I had the shoulder pads on. But
yeah, you did. And you had your own desk. What's up with that? Why do you get the special spot?
Hold on, this is a part of the story. So we were.
I need to know the answer to this.
Okay, I'm telling you right now. Great. So we were on Chad Prather's set because their set was being used for some special that Glenn Beck was doing, and so we were on Chad Prather's set, and I threw up on Chad Prather's set, and I was mortified. I threw up in the trash can, and Eric July had to finish out like probably the last, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes of my interview, because Eric July had stopped by to say what's up to me because I was in town. And then, so sorry, this is a lot of information, but yeah, that's what happened. And so when I was done, they were super cool about it. Like everybody was acting like it was like
No, it's
No
a show business. Everyone throws up the first
Literally,
time.
that's what they were like acting like literally like it was no big deal, like it happens all the time. And they were all like, people throw up all the time on
Was this
Chad's
the
set.
episode? Was this
The other one.
No, she had like this dress. Was it a dress? Was it a red dress or something?
It was a red jacket.
Oh, it was a red jacket. Right.
That look
I
is
remember
about.
that episode. That's a good show. You Are Here. That's a good
Yeah,
show.
good times.
I
Wow.
like
It was.
those
I
guys.
was.
Huge.
So I just met Alex Stein, who was on there yesterday.
Hilarious. That dude's hilarious. He started a whole movement.
Yeah,
Guy's a genius.
his buddy is like blowing up a little bit now too. Who's doing
Oh,
the same
yeah?
kind of
Are they friends? Do they know each other?
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know they
That's
actually are like partners in crime. That's funny. Okay.
But yeah, I was telling him that. So I was just telling this story yesterday because he was just on, and I'm doing a live stream with him on next Wednesday, and I've never talked to him before. I'm sure
With Alex.
Yeah.
Oh, cool,
Nice.
cool.
I'm
Tell
pretty
him I want him on my show.
Okay. I'll tell him
Cool.
tonight.
I guess,
All right, good. Yeah, awesome.
Couple more super chats from Matthew Hammond. What can we do to stop this? I think this might be pointed at Eliza. Should we have public trials of everyone caught doing this and bring back shame?
Well, I mean, this is for all of us too. I mean, how do we stop CP well, you don't lighten the sentences.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that.
You don't like, let's make it more like these people that are like, oh, let's take away the stigma so
it's
people
so
can
much
come out and get
easier to
help.
get so much more.
Like, we need
so
more stigma.
the crime, it's less because you could get more easy. Wow. Sorry, Eliza. Let's hear from you.
Yeah.
The professional here.
Let's see if I have a professional answer. I mean, no matter what, my answer is always going to be education, prevention, and awareness.
It's a good answer.
What we were talking about prior is strong families, healthy communities. So if and when a child is being exploited, they feel comfortable enough to someone in their life where they can step forward and speak to them about it.
Honest parenting, right?
Too, yeah. Well, and watching the internet, but I haven't found that shaming really does a lot. Where I see us going right now, as far as the anti-trafficking space, the survivor space, we're headed sort of towards the war on drugs 2.0. The war on drugs didn't work, so I really want to sort of, we can keep throwing government money at these issues, but at the end of the day, it always comes back to education, prevention, and awareness.
Yeah. Well, the war on drugs, they gave up. The government's now giving.
They didn't give up. They lost. They lost. So
yeah, you're right. They lost.
I do have an answer. So I mean, it's difficult for me to answer. So in my perfect world, as an anarchist in Kapistan, I would have a different answer than probably what I would in the current society. So it always depends on what framework someone's asking. Like in my dream world, or from within the of what we currently have. Well, in Kapistan would be.
Eliza, did you hear about this guy? I don't know. He's somebody that a lot of people talk about because he's very openly like kind of pedo sympathizer. But I've heard him say this on a couple of streams that he wants to use CP to treat child molesters because of I guess studies, and he thinks that CP should be used to treat child molesters so they don't like go out and abuse kids like out in the world. Like he'll make a whole
because a human rights violation has to occur in order to make that.
The
victim is being re-exploited. As far as I'm concerned, anytime someone's watching that content, you are further re-exploiting the victim. You may not be touching them physically, but you are exploiting them and abusing them. So that doesn't match up. There's been a lot of these sympathizer types that always kind of try to come out and hypothesize and like big brain, like, oh, we should do this, we should do
contrarian.
These people are I can't with them because their logic stinks. It doesn't even ever go to a logical conclusion. The data and statistics don't back up any of this stuff. And why are we continuously trying to find a path forward for these abusers rather than path forward for survivors? and education, prevention, and awareness to stop these problems from happening in the first place. You know, why are we carrying water for abusers? I swear, it's just like my biggest thing that drives me crazy. The corporate press is always carrying water for abusers. These intellectual types that are always on this crusade are always carrying water for abusers. The government carries water for abusers. The list goes on and on. I mean, the corporate press covered for Epstein. Let's not forget that. Let's not forget that.
Because they're all in on it.
Yeah, and Hunter Biden.
How many people have been arrested? How many people arrested from the whole Maxwell case?
Okay, so this is a perfect example where the right kind of gets on my nerves. Not you guys. I'm just going to say like the right, because I see this tweeted out from the right all the time, and it's so like clicky and cringy, and I'm like, oh. So as far as Epstein goes, Luke Brunel just died in his cell. He was part of Epstein.
Correct.
Peter Nygaard.
In the same mysterious way.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue though.
Yeah, so Peter Nygaard, I mean, obviously Ghislaine. Peter Nygaard, there was just news about him today. He was part of that situation as well. Prince Andrew, yes, there have been some consequences now. So
whatever. He lost his title. He's still a billionaire who's got all the perks of royalty.
Well, he'll never be accepted in polite society again. He was stripped. He's been publicly shamed, and he lost out on quite a bit of money and is having to sell stuff to pay for all of that type of stuff. I mean, it wasn't nothing. He'll never be accepted in polite society again. Good. So, I mean, I don't know what people want, but individuals have gone to court. It's not like, now that being said, all of the co-conspirators need to be held accountable. That's
or released so we can know who it is.
Right.
But that's where the tweets need to be, because to say that no one from the Epstein case is disingenuous and not factual. Like there have been individuals, they have just either died, they've, so for instance,
Have anyone been arrested?
Yeah, I mean, Luke Brunel was in jail. I mean, he was in jail awaiting trial. Peter Nygaard is getting extradited for these issues. So this isn't like
okay.
This is the other thing too, and this is actually one thing that I think is hilarious that the left is learning. They're always up in arms about Matt Gaetz, like, oh, what's going on with Matt Gaetz? And this is a big fish, by the way. Peter Nygaard is a very big fish, so don't underestimate this predator. People sleep on this story, but they shouldn't. He was pretty devious and dubious, but and an abuser.
Yeah, Peter Nygaard extradition to the United States to face sex trafficking and racketeering charges, but only after similar charges against him in Canada are addressed. Wow, he's 80. Using his business to lure women and girls in the U.S., Canada, and the Bahamas since 1995 to gratify himself and his associates. Yeah, he was arrested in Winnipeg in late 2020. At the U.S. government's request under the country's extradition treaty. Yeah. So, I mean, it seems like, all right. It doesn't seem like there's ever enough.
This is what the left, this is what I'm like rolling over about the left right now. They're all still up in arms about Matt Gaetz. I think what the interesting takeaway is from Epstein, well, this is, of course, there's a lot of interesting takeaways from Epstein, but just to zoom out a little bit. When the left is looking at the Gaetz case and when the rest of the world is looking at Ghislaine and all these other cases, look at how hard and difficult it is for these high-profile cases to get taken care of. But I don't think people understand how long these human trafficking
takes
and child abuse cases take. I don't think people fully realize. Now take that, because look at like when Ghislaine was first realized as an abuser to when this individual was arrested. She's not even, if they don't call a retrial because of the juror, she won't find out her sentencing till late spring, early summer. Think about what a long process this is. I know survivors of Maxwell that have been waiting years for her to even get to trial. Then they have to wait through the trial. Then they have to wait for her sentencing. So, I mean, and if it's not dismissed, long story short, these trafficking cases take a very long time. And I don't think people understand how difficult they are and how difficult they are on the survivors. The survivors have to last through all that. They have to step forward, find the evidence, build the case, go through court, wait for their abuser on an if maybe. Look at R. Kelly, perfect example. Now, when you look at these cases, because R. Kelly was out here for freaking ever, and they finally built enough of a case on this person to find him guilty. But I think what we need to realize when we're looking at this stuff is just how freaking long it takes. Now, these are all the high profile cases. Just imagine if it wasn't a high profile case. Just imagine if you don't have the best lawyers in the world appointed to you. That's what survivors that are not a part of high profile cases are dealing with. So I don't think people think it's easy, like, oh, you get caught and you go to jail. No, that's not how it goes.
Yeah.
So no, yes, it's going to take a long time. The Epstein case was not cut and dry. The only thing that I think would actually help that case in all actual reality is if an FBI whistleblower stepped forward and just spilled the beans. And that's
what's up with the Matt Gaetz thing. I see it. I have never really looked into it because I don't know if I believe it because it feels like a smear campaign. So I'm like, like, what do you think? I feel like you would probably be the one who knows more.
Yeah, I mean, so I say the same thing. Under all circumstances, I let due process do its thing. But if I was to give the Gaetz energy the same energy that I give the Epstein case, there's a lot of evidence that isn't looking good. I mean, so his friend. Oh, your right-wing followers are going to hate me. I don't care. So his friend, what's his name, Greenberg or something, has been notorious. It was notorious in the space. I don't want to be very delicate about what I say here. Was notorious in the space with girls I used to run with. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
This was a known person in that environment. You know what? There's been a lot more corporate press. Why don't you look at like a New York Times or a Reuters article?
Yeah. Now look at this shit.
A little bit more, and they write about it all the time. There has been a survivor that stepped forward, and everyone in that situation, or most people in that situation, have flipped for a lighter sentence. And there were some shady Venmo transactions. That's the truth. And I'll be honest, since I'm feeling very honest tonight.
I hope so.
Yeah. I always feel honest, but tonight I'm just like real. It's because I have both of you here.
Let it rip, girl.
But it does kind of chap my ass a little bit, like all the energy that the right throws into all these things. But when it's somebody on their side, they don't throw that same energy.
Crickets.
I mean, let's put it this way: if the evidence that is there on Gaetz, okay, so the argument that the right throws out is, and the reason, by the way, I'm not like super proficient on the Gaetz cases because I'm waiting. Like, I mean, it's a kind of a waiting period right now. That's why I'm always joking because the left is
see where the next evidence drop happens or whatever.
I don't usually speak about something or even tweet about something unless there's like an update in the case.
Right.
And I'm also not going to play the left's game by posting every because they throw that investigation into every article about Gaetz. Anytime they can dunk on Gaetz, they throw that investigation in there. So I also don't play that game. So I'm not going to post all that stuff or read all those articles. But if there's an update in the case, I will post about it. So the deal is, a lot of people do think it was blackmail. There was a blackmail situation or an extortion situation for quite a large sum of money. If I'm remembering correctly, somebody can fact check me on this, please do. 25 million or something along those lines. My gut instinct as a human is someone wouldn't blackmail you for 25 million if they didn't have anything to blackmail you for.
Right.
Like what is that? There's no, like, if somebody came to me right now and said, Eliza, I'm going to blackmail you for $2,000 to show that you have CP out here, blah, blah, blah. Well, I know I don't have it. So you go ahead, try.
Yeah, I hope this is like bullshit enough. I'm trying to find Zach Gaetz investigated for a possible relationship with a 17-year-old. Is this what you were talking about?
I mean, all of this is just so ridiculous because
New York Times.
We got the president's son. His laptop was proven to be true. Although many of us already believed it to be true, because of
2 years ago. Yeah.
And now, it's Biden's already president now, so the laptop
late.
won't do anything. And what's on the images are haunting on this laptop with Hunter Biden and like little girls. And it's like everyone should be upset about it
Oh no, paywall.
because
Ugh,
there's pictures,
I
there's
can't find a good
legitimate
article.
proof.
I'm equally as upset about that situation as well. I think we need to talk about that. Now, I will. It's funny because I'm actually kind of more like I do kind of stand with the left on some things. Like, yeah, Biden isn't an elected official, so that's number one, and I do kind of stand with them on
Hunter.
that. It's not
Hold
elected.
on.
But
But there's proof.
I wasn't
Go
done
ahead,
yet.
finish, please.
I wasn't done. But he did have those jobs and take payouts and do these other things.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
I know, no. I know what's up, but I think that that's something that definitely should be investigated. Long story short, the elites do not face the same persecution of all of these cases.
Absolutely true.
The elites never face the same judgment, but the other truth, and this is the hard truth, other abusers don't either. And I think that that's what ties all this conversation together. Survivors are not being supported. Survivors are not believed when they step forward. Survivors don't have services or adequate access to aftercare and to law services. And predators just aren't taken down. And so the problem keeps perpetuating on itself. And when we were talking about some of the cause and effect of these things before, when someone is abused, especially at a young age, and when they begin to think that that's what's normal, sometimes, in some cases, they go on to abuse themselves because that's what they're used to. That's what they think is normal. And that's what they're accustomed to. So we better start nipping this in the bud. And elites should be held accountable. And the regular person that's this week somebody tried to I'm trying to figure out what I could say. Sexually assault someone in a Walmart, broad daylight, sexually assault in Florida.
Wow, right.
Sexually assault someone in Walmart. Right. There was a kid that was sexually assaulted on her way to school holding books this week. This happens every day, but unfortunately. But abusers need to be held accountable. And why are we letting these abusers run free like they're cured or something after 3 months of jail? I don't get it.
Yeah. So, Eliza, what do you think, like, now that this is in the conversation of Judge Kentaji Brown Jackson, now that this is an issue that people are talking about, that she has this long record of letting CP offenders, like, off the hook during sentencing, do you think this is a positive sign, that this is just really in the spotlight right now?
Every day that there's a big case, I'm grateful because it keeps the conversation going. I'm always grateful because it just always keeps the conversation going, no matter how much I like or dislike it, because I usually, no matter who it is, no matter what it is, whether or not it be a coach, a teacher, a law enforcement officer, no matter who it is that I'm always grateful anytime these stories happen because it does keep the conversation going. What do I think is going to happen? Nothing will happen unless the government can find a way to use this issue to gain more access and control over citizens. Power over citizens. Nothing will happen.
Well, that's frightening. That premise. Nothing's going to happen unless they get more power over us.
More control. Yeah.
Fuck that.
That's all they want.
I think when I'm talking about stuff like this, I think just to put it in a context, like if you look at like the Patriot Act, I think that's kind of
that's their motivation. Yes, more control over the people.
Yes,
yeah.
The government never does anything. Trust me, at all costs, you can guarantee the government will never have survivors back. They will take abusers back every step along the way. And the only time, and I want folks to watch out for this, listen to me carefully, because I sound like a kook, but once you look for it, you can really see it. The only time the corporate press of the United States government takes these issues seriously is when it benefits them gaining. It never benefits the survivor. It always benefits them in some way. Either they're washing money, either they're trafficking themselves, not them trafficking themselves. Either they're also partaking in the act of trafficking in some way, financially gaining from it. It's never what they say it is. So I also do try to keep a watchful eye on that as well. That's why I push for private companies to handle these issues, like tampering down on the child sexual abuse material on their own without infringing on digital privacy rights.
Okay, good point.
Reform 230.
I want to get a couple more super chats out. Thank you, Jesus Davila, for the super chat. Tune in, drop out. So after Biden explicitly states he is going to nominate a black woman, does anyone find it ironic she is unable to define the word woman? Yes, that's very ironic.
Interesting. I guess I didn't think about that.
Law nerd clips. Craig, please share. Tim Pool plays guitar for his chickens. Probably.
Probably.
I mean, it's true. He literally would sit out and play guitar for the chickens, which people like poke fun at him for it, but
That's
I
kinda
thought
cute.
it was sweet. Like
Yeah.
Tim Pool, say what you want about Tim Pool, that dude loves his animals, and
That's
he
sweet.
is a freaking sucker. Like his heart melts around animals, and he
Cute.
plays for the chickens. It's like, oh, whatever.
Animals
What-
like music. Cows
Yeah.
freaking love music.
I don't have chickens yet, but I have a chicken coop. But when I get
Aw,
chickens,
that's so cute.
I'll play a song and see if they like it. Who knows?
I sing to my cats all the time.
There you go.
I
Yeah,
sing
there
to
you
the
go.
dogs. From Finite SA, can I get your thoughts on the Boy Scouts being, quote, safer? Search Michael Johnson Boy Scouts. And I did find this article. Let me pull it up here
I have
from
no idea what this is.
October. Former Boy Scout youth protection official says group is still not safe for kids. A former Boy Scouts of
Yikes.
America official that was tasked with shielding kids from sex abuse says the organization is still dangerous to children and not committed to reform. Michael Johnson, that's a fun name.
I'm gonna
urged
teach my
Congress,
kids myself. My kids are gonna learn everything that I know.
urged Congress to
That's
look
what I want.
into the BSA's efforts to cover up abuse during a tearful speech at the National Press Club Tuesday. This is like back in October of last year.
I always got to look at the dates on stuff because it happens so often.
Yeah.
People old stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah, I know.
Right.
And I just was visiting my brother the other day, and he said how excited he was because my brother was a Boy Scout. He made it all the way to Eagle. I really think it helped shaped him in a really positive way growing up. And he was talking about how excited he was to get his own kids into Scouts. So I don't know. Is it like are certain chapters fine? Like if you're an attentive
Probably.
parent and you're like,
Boy Scouts
you know,
have definitely the largest child sex abuse payouts of all time. They might even have the large. I mean, I can't believe they would possibly beat the Catholic
more
Church.
than Catholic Church.
If you Google it, Google like child like Boy Scout child. If you just Google Boy Scout child sex abuse payout, I'm sure something will pop up. But I mean, I'm not saying like, well, okay. So in these circumstances, this is kind of a fun conversation because there is so much abuse in sports and these other things. I would recommend a parent as part of the troop too, or the team. Like
Definitely
be a part of the team. Don't
absolutely.
Yeah, that's what my dad did with my brother. He was in there. Wow, 850 million settlement with tens of thousands of
When was
victims.
this article? When was this article?
This was last July.
Yeah. I wonder if it's the Catholic has to be more.
Probably.
But, I mean, but could you really put a dollar price on somebody's? I mean, the way that affects, especially male survivors. It's really. Are you out of here, Craig?
Yeah, I got to get out of here. I got to call my mom. She
Oh,
might have to put down one of her horses. She's got 2 horses, and she just sent me I want to give her a call.
and you said, "Hold your horses. I'll call you right back."
No, I didn't. I asked what happened, and I need to call her. So,
Crigler, let people know where they can find you.
you have me in the little bar down there. Follow me everywhere at Adam Crigler is really easy. Just that. The Crigler Show on YouTube, Crigler Coffee for the freshest coffee. But that's it.
That's good coffee too. He's
Thanks,
not
Eliza.
a joke. It's worth it.
Do you
Thank
have K cups?
I don't, because I do fresh coffee, and K cups you have to package and they sit on a shelf, and I don't do that. I do fresh coffee only. So
Your coffee is it. I might need to order some tonight.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you,
check it
Adam,
out.
for coming on.
Yeah, it was a
Adam,
pleasure though.
Treat. And I look forward to talking to you soon. This will be good. This like kind of made my night, you guys.
Now you're warmed up for
I'll probably
Adam's
cry
interview.
a little bit about it later. I'll be like, oh, that was awesome. I'll call your mom, Craig.
All right.
call
Thank
your
you.
mom.
Thank you, ladies.
Bye, Adam.
All right.
And then there were 2.
He dips out. And
Yeah, I
then
mean, I can't believe
that
we've
was
gone.
on him. No, I'm just kidding.
No, that was so great. I can't believe we've
great?
gone an hour and 43 minutes. Time
That was a
flies,
buy
man.
one, get one free tonight.
Yeah, this was great. Eliza, thank you so much for coming on. Other than Twitter, which that people can follow you at Eliza Bleu, not BLUE, like the color BLEU. You're on Locals as well.
Yep. So Twitter, it's Eliza Bleu at ELIZABLEU. It's all on the bottom there. And then I have my locals community. It's eliza.locals.com. My locals community is where folks can support me. If you sign up there, you sign up to my email list for free. So when I get banned, which I will, eventually, I will be on locals. So like tonight, for instance, I did a live stream previously. My locals community was there for me to do my makeup, help me get my look together. So that, sometimes we just do fun stuff in there, but predominantly I just like that. It's just a nice spot for people to go, especially it's free speech platform. So if you want to vent in there, you can, but it's nice for me to have a spot where I can be, if I get banned, I have that email list. So that's, if anybody wants to support me at all, I'm completely independent out here. I work full time, but one of the reasons why I can be so based is because I'm independent. So I don't speak on behalf of any organization. This has been really crucial, I think, over the last 2 years for me, but partially why I can do that is because of my locals donation. So I appreciate it. Let's see what else. I have my podcast. The Eliza Bleu podcast. I just interviewed just this week, I just dropped my first interview with a brave survivor of human trafficking, my very first survivor of human trafficking that I had on the podcast. I've had comedians. Chef Gruel is coming up next this week. I have the CEO of Odyssey. All my guests are fire. All my guests are fire. You cannot beat my guests. I'm sorry, Chrissie. This is a fact.
I won't try. Yeah.
All my guests are fire. They all bring a lot to the table. I just need views because right now folks are like looking at my podcast to see if they want to sponsor, but I need to get my game up. I need to get my views, subscriptions.
Yeah.
But I'm telling your followers, like, just go subscribe. You don't even have to like me. You can hate me. Just go subscribe. It's free. And that's on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, and Odyssey. And then the other thing too, and I'm sorry, I did 2 more things. I'm on Minds. I've been jiving on minds.com. I love it. It's awesome. It's a, decentralized blockchain Twitter, but like better and not a bunch of boomer cons over there. You're going to find people like me and other people that just are a little bit more, I don't know. It's just more free thinkers.
Boomer con?
You don't know what a boomer con is?
No.
Boomer conservative.
Okay. So anything that ends in con is conservative.
Not necessarily.
Like a neocon. I hear that word all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Well, we just call it BoomerCon. I got it from Michael Malice. That's how.
If he's saying it, then it's a thing.
Probably. He's a boomer too, though. But yeah. So, needless to say, it's okay. I don't hate the MAGA crowd. I love the MAGA people. MAGAs are dope, but it's not that site. The Truth or Social, like Truth and Gab and all this, Parler and all that. They have their place, and Getter, they have their place. Mine's is not that. It's more for like the blockchain type of person that's more artsy. It's to me, it's the best right now. So I've been on minds.com. I have a verified account over there. It's Eliza Bleu. Just go check out the platform, see what's up. Actually, the founder of Minds just was on Rogan again. But he went on this time with Daryl. I think his name is Daryl Lewis. Do you know him?
No.
Oh my God, you should have him on your show.
Yes.
He's a Black man that has
sold.
He does kind of have that energy. Like, no, but
yeah.
He's a Black man that has de-radicalized so many KKK members just by befriending them and talking to them. Let me look up his name for real because I don't want to butcher it.
Okay, sounds interesting.
But his story is absolutely incredible. He's kind of a now, of course. How do you spell Daryl?
I have one more super chat that snuck in from Matthew Hammond. Many on the right feel like it is projection by the left on condemning Matt Gaetz. The left tried to do this to the Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh.
Does many feel that the projection on the left? Well, they're disingenuous. Because they don't care if it's someone on their side. They only care if it's Matt Gaetz. But there also has to be some wiggle room there for the right. I mean, the left is extremely disingenuous with their push because they don't give two craps when it's somebody on their side. I mean, they let Bill Clinton speak at the DNC, and Bill Clinton had just as much evidence as Matt Gaetz. But on the flip side, it would be awesome if the right recognized that there is an investigation going on there. I think it's a little bit disingenuous on the right to say, you know, like to act like there's nothing going on there. There is, but that's okay. That's why there's people like me that sit in the middle and don't care and will say whatever. So his name is Daryl Davis, DARYL DAVIS. He's a jazz musician, and he has de-radicalized so many real white supremacists, gotten their robes, gotten everything. He's really inspiring. He's been on Rogan a couple times. Definitely check him out. But anyway, he went on with the Minds creator. They're doing some really fun things. So I like Minds. But the other thing, if you want to come hear me speak live, I will be at Freedom Fest this year. Chrissie, I would love to see you get booked there.
Where's that?
Freedom Fest is going to be in Vegas.
Hello. When is it?
Let me look it up. There's comedians like Dave Smith's going to be there. You would love the lineup. Like, let me look it up. Anyway, I have a promo code if you want to save some money off your ticket.
Ooh.
Ooh, girl, it's been so hard starting my own podcast. I'm feel like I'm booked to the max. Like I'm so
That's good. That's how you know you're doing it right.
No,
You're so busy.
My wheel doing the most for no reason. But you know what? I'm grateful even that I just made it this far. It's July 13th through 16th.
Okay.
Let's pull up some of the speakers, shall we? Because I'm the lowest person on the totem pole.
Stop it.
Sarah's going to be speaking. Let's see. Speaker lineup. Let's see who's on top. I'm falling out of the frame. Okay, I don't know who that person is. John. Oh, yeah, I do. John Cleese. Cleese, he's an actor. Kennedy. Yeah. You know Kennedy from Fox. Zuby is one of the keynotes.
Yeah, look at this. I pulled it up.
Yeah, Justin Amash, Glenn Greenwald, Spike Cohen, Dave Smith.
Oh, look how many bangers. Great. What a great lineup.
Old geezers.
Geezers.
I love the geezers.
Del Bigtree is great. I saw him speak at a medical freedom rally.
Oh, there's me looking cute and bald.
Larry Sharp is speaking. Yes.
Honestly, Chrissie, you would be a fire addition to. It's basically, you know, libertarians, liberty-minded people. There's tons of booths. Like last year, Project Veritas was there.
But Camila Cleese, I've never even heard of her. I'll check her
out. Sarah's gonna be there. Olivia, you know Olivia.
Yes, I love her.
A lot of us are speaking there that are based and cool and fun. And last year, the whole timeline had FOMO. So
Sarah's speaking. Oh, good for her.
I want to see if they're going to book Dr. Drew. Oh, I guess James O'Keefe is speaking. That's weird. Why isn't he on top?
Maybe he's a late addition.
You would put him on top. Rand Paul speaking.
Yeah.
Why am I higher in the thing than James O'Keefe?
You never know how these things are organized. If it's
there's Olivia looking fire.
Oh yeah.
Oh, looking good.
Look at so many great speakers. Wow. Okay, I'm going to check this out.
And it's in Vegas. Hello. And you can. Oh yeah, Maj.
Oh, Maj. Okay. All right, everyone's going to be there.
Needless to say, everyone's going to be there. If you don't come, you're going to have FOMO. If you want to save money on your ticket to see me speak, my speech is called the Human Trafficking Industrial Complex. And if you want to hear me speak for a lesser price, it's Eliza, all caps, ELIZA 50, ELIZA 50. You could save money. So it's good.
Amazing. Eliza, thank you so much for coming on. It was so good to see you and talk to you. I miss you. I feel like we need like an in-person hang.
I know, we really do. But I know I said this, but it, you know, let me not cry.
Don't cry.
You know, let me get my life together. You were somebody that had my back and asked me to come on your show when I was just starting. And, you know, now having the podcast and giving other survivors an opportunity to speak, I look at that as a direct correlation to people like you who had a podcast having me on in the beginning, and I really appreciate it. And same with Crigler too. That's why I was like, oh my gosh, moment. But I never forget stuff like that, and I always appreciate it big time.
Oh, well, I appreciate you, Eliza. You're doing great.
Just did my makeup, and now it's already off.
You know what? It lasted the whole time, basically. You can cry as much as you want now because we're wrapping it up.
You went back and watched my life doing my makeup. This is like industrial. It's built for crying, girl. It's built for crying. But no, seriously, I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
Oh, thank you,
So,
Eliza.
yeah.
I love you,
Keep
girl.
shining, girl. And I appreciate you, and I will talk to you later.
Yes, thank you guys for the chat. Always shout out to the chat for your comments and questions. Always on point. Appreciate you guys. Until next time, bye.